History of halal slaughter in America. Until 1960, Muslims in America did not have meat shops, except maybe few in some major cities. Many Muslims were reluctant to buy meat from regular shops because of the general belief that Christians do not mention the name of Allah, the name of God, at the time of slaughter, and they do the stunning before slaughter. So, not sure whether the animal is alive at the time of slaughter or not alive. And also, slaughtering at the same place where the pigs are slaughtered. So, it is possible that the meat is contaminated with the pig's unclean meat. So, many Muslims they used to buy kosher because its rules are closer to the rules of halal. Some Muslims used to go to the farms to do their own manual slaughtering according to the Islamic way for themselves, their families, and their friends. Some masajid ask some members to go to the farms and slaughter a few animals and bring the meat, and they would have freezers in the masjid, and the local people come and buy the meat from the masjid. When halal meat shops started, most Muslims trusted these shop owners and purchased meat from them. There was no supervision and no halal certification. Some shopkeepers, to satisfy their customers or to attract the customers, used to go to the imam of the local masjid to give them certificates. And as you have seen in the survey, some people still do that in some areas. They used to hang those certificates in their meat shops. And in some places, you may find even if some certificates signed by me also in some of the shops in Orange County. So there is some improvement now, but things have not changed very much. We do not have active and strong national supervisory and certifying bodies. Now, in around 1990, because of the growth of Muslim population and high demand for halal meat, some Muslim butchers opted for mechanical slaughtering. So we had the manual slaughtering, and then we started now the mechanical slaughtering. That is animals slaughtered by machine. Muslim countries such as Saudi Arabia, Gulf countries, Malaysia, Iran, Egypt, and some other countries had a demand of halal meat in large quantity, and also getting the meat from other countries such as Australia and New Zealand. In the beginning, most of the mechanical slaughtering was limited to the poultry. Later, large animals such as cows and sheep were also slaughtered mechanically. Halal certification and halal labeling started, and Alhamdulillah, there is some supervision in some places, but it's just very limited. So let's say a few words about the mechanical slaughtering. Many Muslims still prefer to use manual slaughtering because it is traditional and it is easily comply with the Sharia requirements. Many muftis, fiqh councils in America, in the Middle East, in India, and other places allowed mechanical slaughtering, but with restrictions and conditions. And there are basically two concerns about mechanical slaughtering. One is the stunning. Stunning is needed for mechanical slaughter. It is done to subdue and immobilize the animal before slaughtering. There are various ways of stunning: by electric shock, by gunbolt, by hitting the head of the animal by hammer, by gassing the animal by carbon dioxide or some other gases. Generally, Muslim scholars were reluctant to accept mechanical slaughtering, but then some of them, they agreed that certain stunning, as long as it is irreversible, can be used. That means if the animal is not slaughtered, it will regain the consciousness, and that makes sure the animal is not dead completely. So that's one of the concerns. The second concern is tasmiyah. Tasmiyah is mentioning the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The question was, who should do the tasmiyah? The person who is operating the machine, the person who is standing next to the animal, uh, when it should be done, and how it should be done. Should it be done for every animal at the time of the slaughter, especially in the case of poultry, where you have hundreds of being slaughtered per minute? Uh, and also, can we use a recording machine that keep on repeating tasmiyah? Many scholars accepted that tasmiyah can be done by one person who starts the process and does have to repeat. If I mean, it does not have to repeat for every chicken, for every animal, but when he starts the process, he can say that, and if in case the machine stops or he moves, then the process will start again with the tasmiyah. So we have certain other concerns also besides stunning and tasmiyah. The concern is that when the animals are transported to the machine, and they are taken from the farm and from whatever they are, and they are loaded in their trucks, and sometimes they are overloaded, and so they're crowded. It becomes very difficult for them, for the animals, very uncomfortable. Long wait, starvation, and dehydration. They are hungry because sometimes they are in hours in their truck, and the dehydration, the water available. And you know, Sharia says that you have to feed the animal, you have to give the water to the animal. So you have one problem. The uh, stunning of sometimes is very strong. So it is people say that especially for poultry, it should be very mild stunning, uh, and electric stunning is preferable, while the voltage should not exceed from 70 to 80 degrees. For larger animals such as sheep or cows, reversible stunning with electric shock or bolt gun, but hitting the head of the animal by hammer or gassing the animal is not accepted. The person performing the slaughter should be a Muslim or a believing Kitabi who should know the Islamic procedure of slaughter. Very often you will find that people don't know themselves, even the butchers don't know. So it is important that they should know the Islamic, so their training of the butchers. Tasmiyah, the mentioning the name of Allah, the machine must be operated after pronouncing the tasmiyah, and if it stops, then repeat the tasmiyah. Supervision at the blade, especially for the poultry, because some birds escape when they're put in the blade, and they don't, the blade does not reach them, or somehow the throat is not cut. So, or sometime the cut is in the wrong place, maybe in some part of the body, on the leg. So there has to be a proper supervision. So in case if it is the wrong place, the cut has taken place, then that should be taken out, and it should not be part of the halal meat. And other is that if the neck was not cut, then they cut it by hand. The other thing is that chicken, especially after they're cut, they are put in the boiling water to make it easy to remove the feather. It is better to remove the stomach and intestine before passing the chicken through the warm water. The temperature of the water also should be controlled and should not reach to the boiling point, become too hot, because that makes the meat mixes with the unclean water and filth. So it is very important that it should be done, and the water should be changed frequently. And customers should be advised to wash the bird thoroughly before cooking. Uh, Bigger animals should be allowed to fully bleed and cool down before skinning and cleaning the inside. Sometimes they do it very fast and they don't let them bleed completely. So there is these are just brief points. There are a lot of details. There are brief points about the process of halal meat. Proper education, supervision, and certifications are required at every step. When people go all the way, sometimes people drive long distance to get the halal meat, spend more money because that is more expensive than the meat in the regular shops. They have to have the proper service, proper way they should be treated. So effort should be done to enforce these procedures with the help of local law enforcement authorities, better business bureaus, and others. We have to work on that. And also, we have to make sure that Muslims purchase and consume what is halal and tayyib. That's what Allah says, halal and tayyiban. Eat halal, that is that which is permissible, and that which is good. So we have to make sure that it is halal and as well as it is good. And here comes the role of AHI and its supervisory bodies for halal meat. Of course, there are other products that need similar guidelines and supervision. So we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our brothers and sisters who are involved in this work and trying to serve the community with that which is important, because halal is important. Our Prophet's mission was يحل لهم الطيبات ويحرم عليهم الخبائث. Allah sent him that so he gives them the understanding of what is halal, make it halal for them what is good, and haram what is unclean, what is not good. That was his mission, and that should be the way of Muslims' life, that Muslims have to take halal, live halal, practice halal, and avoid and abandon and turn away from that which is haram. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayah that we work on that. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Siddiqui. May Allah bless you for giving us your insights and also some homework. I see a great many questions, and I'll try as best as possible to do a rapid fire answers. So I'm going to open this chat screen and go one after the other, inshallah. Brother Omar asks the reason to not partner with an organization like Hafsa that has infrastructure expertise and agreed upon standards and so on. So the answer to you, Brother Omar, is we have every intention to coordinate and collaborate and partner with the reputed agencies who already have been doing this work in a very limited way. And we know of Hafsa very well. They are a very respectable organization. We do intend to coordinate and collaborate with them as we move forward. Sister Zeba asks, what about extending this study in the future to include auditing halal restaurants who claim they serve halal meat? Indeed, yeah, we do intend to reach out to halal restaurants also to help them understand the importance of this, which is in fact good for them purely from business perspective. So we will be conducting a similar study with them as well. Sister Shaila asks, when I go to halal meat store, do I need to ask if they have halal certification, like Hafsa or others? Preferably, yes. I think the more Muslim consumers begin to engage the stores and vendors, the better for the consumer and for them as well. So if I were to ask the store, I would ask, where did you get the certification from? And then what's the process of that certification? When was the last certification did you do? Did they come in person or did they send somebody or did they do it online? Questions like these, this will help them as well. Not only that, I think we should also, as consumers, we can also call the certification agency and say, what's your process of certifying? Because there is no standard here, as I think in my opening I had mentioned, that there is no halal standard in North America right now. In Muslim countries, Malaysia, in GCC countries, there are some standards. And even if we were to have standard here, because we live in as a Muslim minority, we would not be able to enforce those standards, but we can try as best as possible to at least have a baseline that all parties involved, consumers and as well the vendors, are comply with. Brother Sayed asked, does AHI plans projects to play the role of a single organization that nationwide conducts research, certifies a product to be halal, and give a level of reliability to all Muslims in America or in any single state as a starting point? Great question. So we don't intend to become the big brother, so to speak, of this, but we do intend to facilitate as an umbrella organization, as a consortium of those certifying agencies who are around, who have already been around for some time, and there are some doing some very, very good work, to really come to an agreement or have an understanding, a baseline understanding that this is the least that ought to be expected from all of us, from the certifying agencies, from the Muslim, slaughterhouses, processing plants, retail shops, distributors, transportation companies, storage facilities, and so on and so forth, that we all can collectively be and mutually accountable to each other. That's a grand vision, and we do intend to play that role. And Nate, as we most of us perhaps know, can put together resources and that platform to play that role, because overwhelming majority, I would say 9 out of 10 certifying agencies that exist today in North America are very small, and their outreach to the Muslim to halal marketplace is next to none. It is mostly pull, so those who are interested, they reach out to them, and as a consequence they certify. Brother Riaz asks, if the halal meats are to be certified, then it has to be controlled by a body of Muslims who are not producers or in distribution channel. The body has to run just like Shura Council with a goal to. Yeah, so the idea here is if it's a self-certifying agency, then it clearly is a conflict of interest. So if I have a meat distribution system and I have a retail shop and I'm certifying my own products, I may be doing a good job and doing everything right, but at least perception-wise, it would seem like it's a conflict. So self-certifying agencies may not necessarily be able to offer the transparency that Muslim consumer ought to be looking for. Has anyone checked yet that a Zabiha seller anywhere in following these fiqh requirements that Dr. Siddiqui had mentioned? Dr. Siddiqui, would you like to answer that question, or?
I'm sure that Many of them are following, but we are not. I mean, we have to check it. We have to really verify that. So there have to be organizations that verify that. Uh, we trust our conscience of our Muslim brothers who are in this business, and that they are providing the zabiha and halal according to Sharia standards. But it is still important to have the certification, auditing, supervision, and also announced and unannounced visits of those places so that everything is done in the right way. I have interesting the conversation with somebody who opened a shop, and he put in signboard said we sell halal and kosher meat. Within few days, they had several people came to their shop, and they said, "We are kosher supervisors. We would like to see where from you buy your meat, and also in your invoices and also thing we have to see that." So why? He said, because you put the name kosher there, and we'll help you where to buy the proper kosher meat. We can help you on that, but it is important that you show us, and we are going to come again on a regular basis, and you also have to pay a certain amount for our visit. You have to do that. So he said, I removed the word kosher from the signboard, and he says, keep it halal. Nobody comes to check me. So that's not right. I mean, we have to have this proper way of checking. Every business we do that. In Islamic terminology, it's called al-muhtasib, yani ihtisab, checking, checking the people. So in the markets, in the time of Umar radiallahu ta'ala, in the mind of Khulafa, there were people who were assigned to that job. They go into the market and check things. Rasulullah Sallallahu himself, one time he went to the market and he saw a heap of wheat or barley, and put his hand inside the heap, and then he found the inside was wet. And he said, what is this, seller? He said there was rain and some of the wheat became wet. He said, but why didn't you put it up on the top? Why you put it inside? Man ghasha falaysa minni. The one who deceives does not belong to me. So it is important that people should know, and at the same time there should be some checking as well.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Siddiqui. I think I'll stay with you. There is a specific question. So this attendee asks, technically speaking, as we heard Dr. Siddiqui, there were so many restrictions one has to follow to be Sharia compliant with consuming halal. But as far as the Ummah is concerned, we see that we are very laxed in its implementation. Is it hypocrisy or is it okay as long as they try their best?
What is the last point? Is it okay?
Is it okay to try as best as possible?
Of course, I
Or
mean, everything we should try as best as possible, but doesn't mean that there is no standard. We have to have a standard, and we have to have something. I mean, there are certain areas in which you maybe have some leeway, but at the same time, you try to, yes, to comply with basic rules. Just like, for example, I mentioned that there are four vessels. Our scholars say four vessels should be cut, but then they say, well, even if three are cut, it's okay. So there are certain flexibility within these rules. Bismillah, the name of Allah should be mentioned, but if somebody forget it, it's okay. Yes, it's still halal, but one should not deliberately, knowingly not mention that. So knowingly should not be ignored. It has to be done. So there are certain within Sharia there is taysir, there is some ease that has to be followed. In some areas, you have to consider that how to do it.
Jazakallah khair. Another participant asked, Does your website have a list of halal certified stores or restaurants that serves a beer halal? The answer is no, we don't. Um, there's plethora of information out there by various organizations who have listed that it's halal, or and the verification of halal is because the owner said it is halal, and in some cases it is with the support of a certificate of some kind and so on. There is no standard system and process. In fact, we are still discovering, trying to find out what would be the most optimum way via which a Muslim consumer like you would be able to determine that when someone says it's halal, it's actually halal. Right? So it's work in progress. Um, do we have a halal committee in Southern California? No, we don't. Um, Let me see. There are other last questions. I want to honor the time. We promised that we will be done in an hour. We have 2-3 minutes left, inshallah. Is there an action plan as next steps as a beginning of ascertaining the fiqh compliance? Um, so in this regard, what we intend to do is to facilitate or initiate a conversation between Muslim theologians, fiqh council in particular, and leading um, players in the meat and poultry business. So we are aware of, for example, I'll give you an example. This might illustrate the urgency of this. There is a particular poultry production house in southeast of the nation who slaughters 1 million chickens a day. Chances are that many of us are consuming that. So we called this particular production house and asked, is this halal? And the gentle lady said, yes, it is. And this is me personally talking to this individual. And I asked her, who certifies this? So she said a name of a particular agency who certified somewhere in mid 1980s. So I'm speaking to this lady in 2020, and they are living off of a certification that was done in 1985. Now you do the imagination what may have happened in these last 35 years. So there are a lot of challenges. So what we intend to do is to bring at least the key players on one table and have a conversation with the help of the theologians and scholars as to what is the minimum baseline that a meat and poultry producer must maintain, must honor, and how do we maintain that and sustain that and keep that transparent with the marketplace. B, have the major distributor. There are a handful few who distribute in the country. Some in the Muslim marketplace, some within the Muslim community, and some outside. So restaurant depots, if one were to shop from there, much of their product comes from New Zealand and Australia, much of their product. In some cases, it comes from India. And India is Australia, New Zealand, Brazil are all non-Muslim countries, but they have large production houses, and it's cheap. They produce in millions and hundreds of millions of pounds, and therefore it goes all over the country, including Muslim countries. Muslim countries are able to enforce that. We are unable to enforce that, but we can. So we at least hope to bring all of these players together on the table and begin that conversation and see how can we develop a platform, a minimum baseline that we all can live by. It's a long process, but inshallah, we do intend to do that. I think by and large, we have answered these questions for the most part. Brother Salah, would you like to add anything before we close?
We have covered most of the areas that are needed to be covered. Inshallah, if there is any question, we will answer it. If we have missed any questions, we will answer it by email or by reaching out to them. We will make this available on hopefully YouTube and Facebook, and will be available for people to go back and look at it if they need to. AHI is also available to answer any question from anybody, so let them feel free to call us or to reach out to us by email or by phone, and inshallah we will address any concern that might be there.
Jazakallah khair. So just to reiterate, the website is AmericanHalalInstitute.com. And there's contact information, info at the website address, or there's a phone call. And this is one of the several webinars that inshallah we will conduct. Great ideas that you all have shared today. A survey with the halal restaurants and other producers as well. We will then also engage in a conversation with, bring some experts on packaging. So many of us may think that vegetable, for example, when I'm buying a can of vegetable produced by Del Monte or any Tyson or any of these major producers from a mainstream marketplace, clearly no Muslim would have any hesitation buying this canned vegetable food, right? But you will be surprised how the can that it is stored in has a silk lining of various things, chemicals and others, that may potentially be harmful to us. So there are a lot of sensitivity. So we do intend to, inshallah, cover those as well in future, just for education, for understanding, for greater awareness and compliance as well, inshallah. As Brother Salah mentioned, that this will be available on AHI website. We would urge you and love you and request you to share this with your family and friends. So the knowledge is shared with everyone, and more the merrier. And if you have any ideas, any questions, do please feel free to reach out to us. We will try as best as possible to answer those questions. And if we don't have answers, then we will reach out to those who have answers and inshallah share with them. With that, I really am deeply grateful. I think there were a great number of people. I see that the participants were more than 67, and they continue to hang on from the beginning until the end. And may Allah bless you for taking interest in this particular topic, and share this with those who you love. Dr. Seki, if you would be so kind to close it out, inshallah, with your dua.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless everyone and all those people who are conscious of what is halal and avoid do the halal and avoid the haram. Allahumma aghnina bihalalika an haramik wa bita'atika an ma'asiyatik wa bifadlika amman siwak. اللهم وفقنا لما تحب وترضى اللهم وفقنا لما تحب وترضى ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وآله وأصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين برحمتك يا رب.
Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Siki. Jazakallah khair, Brother Salah and Brother Badur and the entire American Halal Institute team, and all of you who have participated. May Allah bless you, keep you safe and healthy, and may you have the best of the rest of the weekend, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.